All right, good evening, guys. So, this week's trade training is a recap on what I've introduced to you guys last week on entries, where we were using the 20 and 35 moving average exponential aligned with the MACD in order to confirm our entries on trending trades, right? So today I'm just going to expand slightly. We're going to do a couple of examples, making sure that you guys are getting in the hang of using these indicators. I've had some feedback so far last week from some persons that would have watched the video who thinks that the strategy is simply amazing for them in terms of entries, etc. I think it's a very good strategy as well. So, but guys, always remember that, everything is not for everybody, and what might be good for somebody may not be good for you. So as I continuously teach you guys different strategies, please ensure that you stick to the one that suits you best. And please do not trade all strategies at once. You might have a losing streak of 3 or 4 or 5 trades. Don't give it entire self, okay, let me try a different strategy so easily, right? The key to trading is being disciplined and consistency, right? You can tweak your strategy that you're comfortable with until it works, right? So again, the key to trading is discipline, right? Good. So without any further delay, I'm going to go on to the charts now. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to look at some trades this week. So I'm going to start off first by drawing some trend lines on 3 examples, right, to identify where we expected the trade to go. And then using the moving average lines aligned with the MACD, we will then discuss where exactly we would have gotten into the trade. All right, so I'm going to start off this week with USD CAD. This particular pair is a point of interest for everybody right now, right? Because we got a really nice sell and then it went right back up into the uptrend. So I'm going to draw my trend lines, as you guys know, from the monthly time frame, right? So always make sure that you identify the trend in this case. Right? Now you can join the trend lines if you want. For example, you could do this and join them until they meet, but it's not necessary. But if you want, to keep it clean, you can do that. Right? So that was on the monthly time frame. I'm going to come down to the weekly now and see what uptrends and downtrends we can find. The patterns we can find with respect to these trades. Right, so we found the uptrend here on the weekly time frame as well. Right. So you can see here now on the daily time frame where the uptrend is being respected a lot clearer. See a further uptrend here. And this nice V formation. Guys, on the 29th of December, I'm going to teach you guys one of my strategies, which is the V formation, that you can trade and make consistent profits with it. All right, so I'm now on the forward time frame. And then the 1 hour time frame as well. Right? Now, guys, when you're building your analysis for a pair that you're interested in, try to write down your stories because each pair has a story. You know, you can start with writing down what you see in terms of candlesticks. You can write down the trend that you see, the areas that you see being respected. Because, for example, we can clearly see how this trend line is being respected throughout. Although, we advise not to draw trend lines through candles, you can see how in this case, right, how the trend line was being respected here in this uptrend. Right? So I'm gonna go down to the 1 hour time frame. And last week, Friday, we had this huge drop. And I was telling persons that, you could have easily caught this move. This move was that easy to catch, right? So, first of all, this is on the 1 hour time frame, right? Some persons might look at this as a head and shoulders pattern, breaking the neckline, right? And then doing the entire drop. If you're using this based on patterns, that's great. Some persons would have used the Fibonacci retracement, right? Noticing the impulse and the flag. They would have drawn the Fibonacci to help with their entry. And you can see here how the trade literally went straight up to the 61.8 before it turned around and did a major drop. So this is another way of looking for the entry on this trade. So we had an impulse flag that went straight up to 61.8, continuously testing. Right? Never able to make a higher high from this point. So you can see how it's consistently testing 61.8, and then we made that major drop. Right? So if you were using, or if you like using Fibonacci retracement, that's just to show you how you could have caught that move as well. Right? Now, a couple weeks ago, Stevenson would have taught you guys about impulse, correction, and continuation move. Well, this is the impulse. This is the correction, right? Now, if you look at the MACD had already crossed for the sell here. But if you look up at the top of the trade, that's when the sellers actually started to come in. This is when the buyers now start to lose their momentum at that peak. MACD crossed, expanded, contracted here, right? It was very small here. This was just the continuation it was expecting. Right? So you had a nice continuation here. You could have gotten into the trade right here. Now, if you look at the trend line, as I said, we have two trend lines here. If you look at this first trend line, you will notice in this uptrend how this trend line is being respected all the time, right? Which is what we had here. I know a couple of you were thinking that the trade was going to break that trend line and drop. However, we didn't have the confirmation for that, right? So we had a flag further drop, and then the buyers came right back up and applied their pressure, and now you can see, you know, the fact that the sellers were not able now to break the structure. Right? So this is just an idea for you. Now, looking at how this trade would have came back here, this is on the 15-minute time frame. Notice that you had an impulse, you had a flag. You had a further impulse, you had a flag. Now, in that second flag, the moving averages crossed. In that first flag, the MACD are crossed. So you had your first confirmation MACD cross for the sell. You had a flag, right? Continuation, flag, moving averages cross. Continuation, flag, continuation. So you can see, I want you guys to be able to start to pick out these types of moves. The key here is getting the trend lines right first. Once you have the trend lines right, the entries will come. You just need to practice the strategy. Right? So let's look at another trade. Let's look at Euro USD. So we're going to draw trend lines from the monthly chart. This should help a lot of you that were struggling to understand trend lines. So we have an uptrend here. You have a downtrend here. Come down to the weekly. Nothing right now, but what you can see here on the weekly is a nice head and shoulders pattern. So when this does drop, it will be a really good set of pips. Daily. Right, so in the daily now you can see a downtrend. Right, 4-hour time frame. We see the downtrend even better. So you can draw another one here. Hope you guys are following me. Over here we're getting an uptrend. So we have that here on the 1-hour time frame. You see everything a lot clearer. I can't see any more patterns, but we do have on the 1-hour time frame a head and shoulders pattern that broke. Right. So now we have an impulse and a flag, right? Now the MACD is showing that the buyers are losing their momentum. over here, right? The moving averages already show a sell. So now we try to identify the pattern for the correction that we see. Let's just identify it based on the patterns they have here. Right. So this appears to be a rising wedge based on the patterns. And therefore, we're looking for it to drop. Now, given that this is currently testing a trend line, right? Which is a type of support. I wouldn't enter into this trade until the trend line, this pattern has been broken and flagged, right? I wouldn't get into it because given that it's on a type of support on this trend line, you don't want that you're caught in an impulse buy, because the buyers are gaining some momentum here based on the body of their candles compared to the sellers. So I would wait, see if the structure breaks, flags, and then I would get into the trade as well. All right, so I'm going to do one more example. We're going to look at USD JPY. As you can see, I've already drawn up my trend lines here. Right? Coming down to the weekly to make sure we have everything. So you can see where I would have added this trend line in. Now remember, we are looking to box in price. That's the whole point, is to box in price. We have a downtrend here. However, we had a huge impulse, flag, and continuation. So the trend is broken here. Right? On the 1 hour time frame, you can even now put trend line here. Right? So come down to the 15-minute. Notice that the moving averages are telling us it is in a buy. Right? MACD cross for the sell. However, I would prefer the structure to be broken first before I do anything. Otherwise, this can continue its uptrend. So we have the first confirmation with the MACD crossing for the sell, where we can see the sellers actually coming in to try to push price. However, the moving average lines are fully expanded. What we want to see is we want to see them come close or cross to confirm our entry. All right, so I hope that this training was some practice for you guys, right? On the trend lines, I showed you an example how you could use the Fibonacci, but I didn't dive too into detail into it because at the event December 29th, we're going to be running through all of that, right? So make sure you come out December 29th. We've also looked at impulse and corrective moves in this video, as well as better entries, right? So remember, the MACD is good to use on its own, but is better to use with a moving average line, right? So the moving averages, remember, are 20 and 35. If you haven't understood the moving averages on MACD, please refer to my video that I would have posted last week when I would have first talked about entries as well. All right, guys. So thank you for joining me tonight. I hope that this training practice was useful. You can put it to more use. You can make some notes, and guys, any feedback, all feedback, but is always welcome. All right. So thank you for joining me tonight again. Take care.